Once upon a time, in the enchanted land of software development, all was merry and bright. Applications sprouted like mushrooms after rain, and humanity reveled in the luxury of not having to perform any mental math or handwrite anything ever again. Life was good, and code was king. But sadly, humans got a little too complacent, treating their code like yesterday's leftover. And that's when trouble started. Bugs. Those mischievous troublemakers crawled out of their digital hiding spot. Panic erupted. People were left scratching their heads, wondering where it all went wrong. It seemed like the end of the world, or at least the end of the error-free software world. But wait. A tester rode in on a pixelated unicorn, armed with bug-zapping spells and a knack for making things right. Order was restored, and the people rejoiced. The bugs slinked away, defeated, or so they thought. Little did the testers know, those cunning bugs were brewing a comeback, and they returned. But not as mere glitches, but as crafty masterminds lurking in the darkest corners of the code. They were stronger, sneakier, and ready for revenge. So here we are in an epic showdown where developers and testers unite to battle the formidable forces of bug in the quest for error-free software. My name is Antita Kupcsik-Sandor, and I'm a business analyst. In the next 40 minutes or so, I'm going to talk about the new dimensions of software testing. Now, let me start by addressing the elephant in the room. Why on earth is a business analyst standing in front of you and wanting to talk about software testing? Let me give you some context on who am I and why I'm here today. I was born and bred in rural Hungary. I studied law at the university. After my degree, I started to work as a lawyer. I was fulfilling the dream, right? Except I found out that the legal career I always dreamed about is not for me. So, to the shock of my family and my friends, I packed up my suitcase, jumped on a plane, and left to the UK, to London. Why, I hear you asking? Because everyone was doing it at that time. So in London, I did not only learn the importance of small talk. This is something that we Hungarians just don't do. We just don't get it. But I also get the chance to rebuild myself professionally. It was an amazing opportunity for me. My first noteworthy job was a support analyst role at a major investment bank. And mind you, I had no idea what I'm doing. But I persisted, I talked to people around me, and I found that people around me are willing to help. They were willing to help me, they were willing to help me to advance. And this is how I got the opportunity to transfer to a junior business analyst role at the same bank. I still had no idea what I'm doing, but I got better at it. And that was a defining moment in my career, because that's when I thought, yes, I'm on the right track. So fast forward to 2019, I'm still in London. I'm happily married. I work as a product owner. Yes, I know, I made my way. I work as a product owner, and I just found out that I'm expecting a baby. Happy days, right? Except it's almost 2020, the start of a new era of COVID, never-ending lockdowns. So that's why my husband and I made a quick decision, packing up our lives yet again and moving back to Hungary. So back in Hungary, I we thought that we are going to, for a short period of time, we thought we are going to settle down in Hungary. And that's when I embarked on a tedious journey of finding a job in Hungary again. And because I had been away for such a long time, I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know which companies are offering business analyst positions. I turned to a family friend. And this family friend recommended me to get in touch with a company called TestIT. That is a Hungarian-based innovative company who specializes the services in quality assurance. And I wasn't especially interested in testing or quality assurance only as much as a business analyst should be, right? But I got in touch with the guys, we sat down and we had a chat. And what I realized from those conversations is that quality assurance is more complex. It's a multifaceted discipline on its own. So I ate a humble pie, and however I never became the employee of this company, I asked them to help me to learn. Someone who is extremely passionate about self-development and learning, I wanted to learn. I wanted to sit down and I wanted to learn more about quality assurance. So I started this journey, and I asked the guys of TestIT to hold my hand on this journey and help me to learn more. This presentation is the outcome of the first steps in the journey. And don't forget about that I even managed to move with my family to the other side of the world, to Perth, a year ago. And that's how I ended up here at the DDD Perth conference. As I mentioned in my abstract, I believe that there are 4 main questions that we have to ask and attempt to answer when we are talking about the status quo of quality assurance as a whole, globally, or when we are looking at the status of software testing at any given company. I'm going to delve into these 4 questions in detail now. The first question is, why is software testing still crucial to the success of any IT project? So we can witness a growing number of software applications being developed. As I mentioned in my introduction, they're literally just growing, growing like mushrooms. You can see them popping out everywhere. And organizations, let them be large enterprises or small companies, they all gravitate towards digitizing and automating their processes. And we can understand why, because there is an absolute obvious benefit to it. So, what implications does this hold for software testing? I hear you asking. The answer is simple. The importance of software testing escalates. But there are some misconceptions around the effect of innovation and the pace at innovative technologies evolving. Because some people argue that with innovation, the code gets so good, the quality of code gets so good that we don't even need testing anymore. But I think the picture is so much more complex than this, because we have to think about the human side of things. The human side of things remain a challenge. Why? Because humans are still not entirely predictable. The human behavior, human communication or miscommunication, mistakes, these are the things that are still not predictable. And we have to make sure that we test the human side of applications as well. So can you please put up your hands if you know what the Kano model is? Good, I can see a couple of hands, that's good news. Let me just summarize it quickly. It's a great model that is looking at the value of your product features from the perspective of customer satisfaction. And the Kano model groups these product attributes into 3 main categories. The first one is the basic attributes or must-haves. The second one, performance attributes, and the third one, excitement attributes. And for the sake of making my point, I only will talk about the must-haves in detail, the basic attributes. So what are the basic attributes? The must-haves of any software product are those features that your customers expect as a bare minimum. If you don't provide these must-haves, the customers will be dissatisfied. However, providing these features won't lead to customer satisfaction automatically. It's just like me doing the laundry at home, right? If I do it, no one notices it. If I skip one load or two, well, my family is going to start noticing. But just to provide you with a more professional example, in 2023, no one would buy a mobile phone, a smartphone, without the ability to making a call, right? No brainer. Not even I, a millennial, who would rather type in and send like a 1,000 character message instead of picking up a phone. Not even I would buy a phone which is not able to make a call. Why am I talking about the basic needs, the must-haves of the Kano model? Because, and I'm not jumping into the next question, sorry. I'm talking about the Kano model because this serves as a great analogy when it comes to software testing. We have to understand that we live in an age when working code and working features on their own are not enough anymore. Having a software tool helping you to progress with your business processes is not enough anymore. We want to make sure that the software people using are not driving them into the brink of madness, right? Because the software tools has the power to influence how we feel and how we think. And software testing, yet again, has a huge part in this. Question number 2. Why is it still so challenging to perform testing effectively? And there are quite many answers to this, but I would like to focus on 3 main aspects. So the first one is that in-house testing teams might struggle to keep up with innovation. Why is that? Because in-house testing teams don't have enough resources to keep up with the innovation. It is time-consuming, it takes money. The procurement process of any company is so lengthy, so tedious, that companies are just not able to keep up with innovation. The second aspect I would like to talk to is there is quite literally, when it comes to software development, no time to die. And we know this. There is no time to test. There is no time to write proper requirements. And what I usually say is the only thing that we can do is we can aim for developing softwares that are easy to fix instead of aiming for perfect softwares, especially because perfect software doesn't exist like a unicorn. And I would like to, as a third aspect, I would like to talk about the problem with requirements. As a business analyst, as you could expect, I'm pretty passionate about requirements, but I also have a love and hate relationship with requirements. Why is that, I hear you asking? What's the problem with the requirements? Do you know what's the problem with the requirements? Exactly, someone said, magic word, they change. How dare they? That's why I have a love and hate relationship with them. They change, but that's the reality. Let it be a classic waterfall type project or agile ways of working, software requirements will change, and we have to take the time to document these changes precisely. It's not cool, it's not sexy, but that's the reality. Because at the end of the day, that's the boring truth. At the end of the day, software testing is all about test at its baseline, testing the functionalities as per the requirements. And this doesn't contradict with my previous statement saying that a software product is way more than just the sum of the features, but that's the baseline. We have to get the foundations right. My third question is, how will AI shape quality assurance? there is an unprecedented hype around AI these days, and I'm not the expert to answer the questions around that, but I'm very good at asking questions. What I can see, at the moment, there are two distinct approaches towards AI and machine learning technologies. So the first group of people is amazing, great, bring them on. Doesn't matter the cost, doesn't matter the implication, doesn't matter what it causes to us as a whole, to a society as a whole, bring them on. The other group is a bit more reserved or worried. They are asking questions like, should I worry? Should I start worrying? Is my job, is my livelihood in danger? And I think the answer might be somewhere in the middle. But what we can definitely say in terms of quality assurance and development is that the development time will decrease with the advancement of AI and machine learning technologies, which will further accelerate the already existing trend of more and more and more software tools being developed. The fourth question is, how can we identify the best tailor-made approach to quality assurance? When companies, let them be large enterprises or smaller companies, trying to navigate this shifting landscape of technologies, they realize that there is a need for specialized service providers, because these service providers has the knowledge, the tools, the capability, the ability, the network to help them effectively with software testing. And what I believe the three main aspects of successful testing strategy are automation, AI, and service-based testing. So, how can we build a winning testing strategy? Let me make a confession. You might already realize, but I, as a BA, I have a somewhat unhealthy affection for models and acronyms. And that's why we built the 3A for 3T model. What does that mean? The 3A is all about the three aspects of testing that I just mentioned before: automation, AI, and the service-based testing that we call autonomy. The business performance that will be affected by the 3A can be described by the target, the tactics we choose, and the toolbox we use to address any issue at hand. So before I delve into how the 3A affects the 3T, I would like to just quickly run through what the 3T stands for. So the first T stands for the target. We can all agree that any testing strategy is only as good as the precision with which the target of the testing activities can be defined. And make no mistake, it's not just the scope of what we are going to test or what we are going to do is important to be defined, but what's out of scope and understanding what doesn't require testing is equally as important. And that requires skill and experience to understand the difference between what's in scope and what's out of scope. The second element of the 3T is tactics. Tactics mean all the specific actions and methods that we choose to address the issue defined in the target step or the target phase. And the tactics does not only refer to methods or actions that we take, but it also refers to understanding the skills, the people with the right skills needed. And the third one is the toolbox. That's pretty obvious. So once we understand our target and our tactics, we will have a good understanding of which tools to select from our toolbox. If you have a large toolbox, it really matters which one of those tools you select, and it also matters how you time the usage of these tools. right tool at the right time. And again, as a BA who loves acronyms, I would like to use the POP-IT acronym or POP-IT model. That's a highly used way to analyze internal business problems, and we BAs use it quite often. So let me use the POP-IT model to guide you through how a service-based testing model can help any company achieve autonomy, business autonomy. So the first aspect is the people. If a company decides to use a service provider for testing services in a true testing as a service model, and when I say true testing as a service model, I refer to something that's not just a fast reacting T&M model. In a true testing as a service model, as opposed to T&M, the client has an access to a hub of people, a pool of highly skilled people and motivated people. The client can also have access to niche knowledge that they would never get anyway, and also a network of highly skilled professionals outside of the service provider. How does this lead to autonomy? It leads to autonomy in a way that you will get access to more knowledge that you can imagine. Let's look at the organization side of things. A true testing as a service model can promote a quality-centric mindset, and also it can highlight and emphasize the importance of continuous improvement. With partnering up a service provider, a company can understand the importance of continuous improvement and learning. When it comes to the processes side of things, the service provider is going to offer you a plethora of processes and governance and methodologies. And don't forget about the information technology, the tool side of things. It doesn't only mean all of the tools available in the service provider's tool set, but it also means the ability to use the tool, to maintain it. The service provider has the capability to follow up on innovations, upgrades to these tools, and don't forget about the maintenance side of things and the administration side of things. That's also extremely important. So now, let me talk about how each element of the 3A can influence the 3T. Just a quick recap. The 3A stands for the 3 aspects of testing, the new dimensions of software testing. When 3T stands for all the elements of business success, performance, the elements we have to look at when we want to build a winning testing strategy. How does autonomy, testing as a service, influence target, tactic, and toolbox? As I mentioned, there is a pool of highly skilled people, and there is also access to a highly experienced testing manager who has an experience to define the target precisely. When we understand the target, then it comes to defining the tactics. How can a testing as a service model help you to define the tactics? Again, the available methodologies, the available ways of working, the available experience will help the service provider to understand which methods and ways of working to use explicitly. And the third one is the toolbox. So the provider is going to understand which tool to use from that toolbox. Automation. How automation is going to affect the 3T of business strategy. Now, automation is something that I didn't touch so far and didn't delve into it in detail because I'm trying to stay true to myself and I'm trying not to pretend that I'm a technology expert because I'm not. But even I, with my limited knowledge, understand that automation opens new perspectives when it comes to understand the target of testing. What do I mean by this? Let's think about a large enterprise with an architecture, a large architecture of different tools and different softwares. If a company, if an enterprise never get access to automated testing, they never thought of testing the entire enterprise, the entire enterprise architecture. Now, if you have access to automation, it opens up new perspectives because now you can test certain areas of your business that you have never been able to test before. And tactics side of things. Again, with understanding how automation works, you will understand when to choose automation as a tactic and which part of your software or your business that should be tested manually, because there is still room for manual testing. If you understand how automation works, you will also understand when not to use automation, and that's really important. And the toolbox side of things. So when it comes to automating testing, again, there are many, many tools out there which I personally don't understand. And you need someone who is an expert in this field and can tell which exact tool to use for automation. Do you want to buy an off-the-shelf product? Or do you want to run a single script to do your test automation? This is something that you need to analyze and you need to understand the problem properly before you decide on your tools. How does AI influence the 3T? If I said that automation opens up new perspectives in target definition, then artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques are going to completely shake it up. But we need to remember that we have to use these tools responsibly, right? So let me give you an example of how AI can help. And this is already out there. This is a tool that's already in use by quite many companies. Let me give you an example of how AI can help you to define your target. There is a tool that is able to model, analyze, and model business processes. If we assume that there is already a software which is used to run business processes. If there is a software in place already, you can use a tool that will practically do the job of a business analyst. And I shouldn't say this because now my job is in danger, right? Basically, AI can do a job of a business analyst. I can absolutely resonate with the pain and how much time and effort it takes to sit down and end-to-end analyze a business process. Let it be manual, let it be already digitized. It's painful, it's tedious, and we make loads of errors as BAs. We overlook requirements, we overlook unhappy paths, we overlook things that might be just in a brain of one single person at the company. We can make mistakes. Now there are already tools that can easily do our job. But I still believe that these tools are not going to replace us. Because the human side of things, as I mentioned before, these are still there for us to cover for. So back to the target definition. Artificial intelligence and machine learning techniques can help to speed up the requirements gathering phase. And it can also help us define the tactics in a very similar manner. There are machine learning techniques and AI tools that are being developed still in an initial phase, but they are out there and they are writing test scripts automatically for us. So this is how AI and ML can affect the toolbox side of things, and this is how the 3A influences the 3T. And how can we make sure that we build a winning testing strategy? We do a proper analysis and we understand how to utilize the elements of 3A to reach the highest performance at any business. So, as I mentioned before, I'm not a technical expert at all. But what I could see when I was preparing this talk and when I was doing a lot of research is adaptability, and the commitment to high-quality software is the only key to thriving in the digital age. Why is that? Because even my generation, but the younger generations, are going to leave your platform in a heartbeat if you make a single mistake. I would even leave my bank if I couldn't transfer money for 2 days because their mobile application is down. I would even do that because I can just open a new bank account like this. So we have to be aware of these changes. We have to be aware that the competition is fierce. And not the only, but one part of it is making sure that we focus on high quality softwares. Therefore, we focus on software testing and quality assurance. So before I wrap up, I would like to thank our amazing sponsors who made this conference available for all of us. And I would like to thank you for your attention and thank you for your understanding, because I'm entirely sure there are many developers and testers and highly skilled technical people in the room who was very patient to listen to me and listen to where I got in this journey and the first step in where my first step in the journey took me. Thank you for your attention.